a superhero wears can speak volumes in regards to what they're like as a character.
Like for most of us, heroes use their costumes as a way to express themselves while also aiding and reflecting their power sets and their abilities.
But as time and the characters change, so do their designs.
Welcome back, Nerd Squad. It's me, Amanda, and joining me today is a guest that I'm actually really excited to co-host with. I'm so glad we're doing a collab together.
Me too. Hi again, folks. I'm Alexa. Super duper thrilled to be back once again, and with this amazing woman.
Thank you.
And today we're talking about the top 10 superhero designs better than the original.
Let us know in the comments which superhero costume is your absolute favorite.
Number 10, Nightwing. The original Robin. Granted, I'm not about to talk about the Robin costumes anytime soon because I feel like those can make up an entire list of their own. Dick Grayson was Robin for many years until he gained a new alter ego in the form of Nightwing. Named after one of Superman's Candor adventures, his original costume was definitely a product of its time. With a popped up collar, a v-neck, and some snazzy gold accents, this original costume seemed like the character was going out to the disco rather than possibly fighting some crime. Look, I'm all for dual purpose outfits, but there's a time and a place. Enter artist Brian Stelfreeze in the 1990s, determined to give our boy a costume with a little more pizzazz. With a blue V logo symbolizing the bluebird, Dick acquired a form-fitting black bodysuit that was stealthy and practical. He'd even get a pair of Eskrima sticks that would become an iconic part of his arsenal. This new iteration of Nightwing was a success, and a redesign that allowed the character to truly evolve from Batman's sidekick to a solo hero. One could even say history was made. And sure, while there have been some little tweaks along the way, Nightwing has kept this look the same for the most part for a reason.
Number 9, Storm. It's kind of the opposite way I feel like with Storm. Every outfit she wears feels really weirdly different from the last one. But I do feel like every look that Storm has is just an improvement on that previous costume. This is a character that really just gets more and more stylish and honestly better with age. And I'm very much here for it. When it comes to her newest look, which for me is the one I'm referring to in regards to her appearance later on in the X-Men Red 2022 series, I was floored by how much love I just had for it. It's faint-worthy levels of good. Although to be fair, I'm actually trying to think of a time when I haven't had my socks just blown off by a Storm look, and I can't really think of one honestly. They're all so good, but as I said, it feels like as time passes, Storm only looks better when it comes to her character design, and I challenge you to challenge me on that. Let me know in the comments if you've got some bad Storm looks. I don't think they exist. Earlier on at the beginning of the Krakoan era, she had more of a sleek and polished look, and now I'd say she sports more of a modern take on her punk era costume, which I'm also loving a return to with her solo series, which gives us a tale from that era of Storm's past. And friends, before I move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, be sure to click that subscribe, check it out, you don't want to miss out on any nerdy content.
Number 8, Green Lantern. Aside from the name, Alan Scott had very little in common with all the Green Lanterns that came after him. First appearing in 1940, the original Green Lantern wore a red, purple, and slightly green costume and had a weakness to wood. And while that's fun and all, one would expect that a character with a color in their name would have a corresponding costume that fits the moniker. So in 1959, DC legend Julius Schwartz reinvented Green Lantern as Hal Jordan, a test pilot turned intergalactic police officer. It was this incarnation of the character that spawned the familiar Green Lantern mythology involving the Guardians of the Universe, the Green Lantern Corps, and the Power Rings' weakness to yellow. Although Alan Scott would later return as a member of the Justice Society, there's no denying Hal Jordan was a massive improvement on his predecessor's legacy. In terms of later modifications and improvements, Guy Gardner's initial appearance wasn't anything special in comparison to Hal Jordan, and the character ended up looking like a red-headed version of him with no special qualities. But once the character was reworked by Steve Englehart and Joe Stalin in the 1980s, the Emerald Hero became an interesting replacement with an arrogant demeanor and rowdy attitude. This change helped him get out of Hal's shadow, and with that change came a costume that suited Gardner much better. No longer did he look like a carbon copy of Hal. Instead, he sported a leather jacket that fit his personality. And while Hal Jordan remains the quintessential Lantern, I just had to mention that redesign.
Number 7, Bucky Barnes, or Winter Soldier if you prefer. I mean, I don't know if we consider Bucky to be a superhero per se. He's kind of like a sidekick that ended up becoming a redeemed villain, or an anti-hero if you prefer. But I would say that ultimately he does fight on the side of good for the most part, and that his move over from the sidekick of Steve Rogers' Captain America to the mysterious Winter Soldier was a significant step up and improvement overall for his character. Probably one of the biggest and most drastic changes we've seen to a comic book character in all of Marvel history really. Not just on surface level either, even the man underneath that mask was significantly changed.
Number 6. Black Widow. So Black Widow's first costume back in 1964 looked kinda similar to the Golden Age Catwoman, and while Don Heck's original Black Widow outfit may have worked for like a formal costume party, it wasn't exactly practical for fistfights with superheroes. Having initially been hired to kill Tony Stark in her debut, Black Widow eventually became a hero and gained her own good costume. I don't think I'm saying anything that isn't obvious when I say that her original design was a bit outlandish, if you will. She was given a domino mask, a cape, and a blue leotard with fishnets, which are pretty impractical to wear on a regular basis. Speaking from experience, never mind as a fabulous assassin turned superhero. Thankfully that all changed when artist John Romita Sr. redesigned Black Widow's costume in 1970. This new look traded in the fishnets for a skin-tight black bodysuit that was resistant to small explosives and extreme temperatures. It also included her soon-to-be famous bracelets, which housed grappling hooks, gas pellets, and her signature Widow's Bite electric blasters. At the same time, the super spy now had red hair, which also helped contrast with her garb. And so much like any defining superhero costume, Black Widow's design would further evolve, but the bodysuit would be the standard and mold her subsequent appearances. And though variations may occur and some color changes have happened here and there, the Soviet spy would become a comic book staple thanks to this redesign.
Number 5. Wonder Woman. But Wonder Woman's looks often stay pretty similar to one another in terms of costume evolution. There isn't often massive changes made to her look involving color palettes or even overall pieces of her outfit being drastically redesigned. There are still many different looks that she has sported, and Wonder Woman fans can tell when her outfit has been changed up. We've seen her fully covered and also barely covered, but I think one of my favorite redesigns from Diana strikes a pretty good balance between the two. Hailing from Greg Rucka's run on Wonder Woman, the DC Rebirth era. I love this look for the cape and the shield, but also the detailing on both her loincloth and her chest piece, as well as her tiara. Diana just looks like she really is a woman from the past here, and there is also a little something that reminds me of the warrior woman and barbarian character Red Sonja, who I also love when it comes to this look.
Number 4. Daredevil. With quite the outlandish color palette, Daredevil's original look fit the character's light-hearted early adventures, but it was a bit on the corny side. Honestly, the yellow elements from the original kinda remind me of a parking guard, which isn't really what you kinda want in mind. Jack Kirby's genius gave us countless Marvel icons, but his original costume for Daredevil was one of his rare missteps, if you will. The original outfit just didn't stand out from the pack, which is why by issue number 7, our hero gained his now iconic red costume, courtesy of artist Wally Wood. The single D on his chest was now changed to an overlapping pair of Ds that would become the character's iconic logo, but the star of the show was the fact that the costume was all red. Not only was this a huge improvement on a visual standpoint, but it also fit someone who would employ stealth tactics during his battles, something that kinda clashed with the bright yellow. Another example of how relatively small changes can have a huge impact, this darker color scheme was a much better reflection of the grimmer character Matt Murdock would become in later years in the hands of Gene Colan and Frank Miller. This design change would prove to benefit the character in the long run, as his subsequent appearances would, keep the red. And while the yellow and red suit makes an appearance here and there, Daredevil's redesign was a much better fit for his name.
Number 3. Donna Troy. Donna Troy's first costume is pretty basic in appearance. Donna Troy, for those unfamiliar, is kinda like the kid sister of Wonder Woman. She's known as Wonder Girl, or has been known as Wonder Girl, now we really just know her as Donna Troy, and has various different origins that connected her to Wonder Woman in different ways. Some of them more supernatural, some of them based in man's world. My favorite outfit for Donna has recently inspired her current look in the comics, but initially hails from her days fighting alongside the Titans in 1999. Her black and cosmic star costume. I love this look for her, and I'm so glad that it just keeps coming back. Even when it leaves, you just turn the corner and there it is again.
Number 2. The Flash. The costume worn by Jay Garrick, the Golden Age Flash, was pretty much inspired by the Roman god Mercury. The original Flash's most obvious homage to the messenger god was undoubtedly the winged cap, which would lay the blueprint for the masks worn by future Flashes. And while it's a fun look, at the end of the day, the looser fitting shirt and pants didn't really make sense from an aerodynamic perspective for a guy who can run faster than anyone else, never mind risk losing his actual hat. Fast forward to 1956, artist Carmine Infantino redesigned the Flash from scratch and created Barry Allen, DC's second speedster who wore the now famous red and yellow suit. More influenced by outfits worn by distance runners, Infantino's new version of the Flash heralded the beginning of the Silver Age of comics and arguably became the most iconic Flash of all. We've seen Jay Garrick pop up plenty in the original outfit, and while I definitely appreciated seeing the hat in the CW show, I think we can all agree that the tight red suit with the emblem is a much more iconic ensemble.
Number 1. Kitty Pryde. aka Captain Kate. Call me Kate, as she says. And as she was reintroduced to us in the first Marauder series by Jerry Dugan. Still very much love this series and consider it one of my all-time favorites from the Krakoan era as I look back, and maybe of all time? I don't know, it's a really good series. If you haven't read Marauders yet, volume 1, what are you doing? Go read that. When Kate first came to Krakoa, she found herself unable to use the gates. As a result, she became the person who would be tasked with recovering mutants who were unable to come to Krakoa using the sort of portal teleportation gates. She would travel by ship, not only smuggling mutants safely out of their nation of origins to get them home to the mutant nation of Krakoa, but also running fetch quests for other mutants, acting kind of as a cargo ship, at least in terms of the Marauders' disguise to hide what it was really doing, which was liberating mutants. Along with this new role, Kate also got a new title, becoming the new Red Queen of the Hellfire Trading Company, and she also got a new look too, one that I still desperately need to cosplay. Captain Kate, where she just looks basically like a pirate? Yes, please.
That's all we have for this list. If you enjoyed our ramblings today, feel free to give this video a like and hit the bell for more awesome content.
And until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube. Bye.